Welcome back from that very important segment of Behavioral Check with Dr. James Komolafe, also known as Dr. Long Life himself. Of course, yesterday, during the Democracy Day speech across the country, our leaders, of course, kept taking us through the journey of the country and where we should be, as it were. And of course, we also did a projection of where we should be headed. And if you listen to the president very well, one of the sectors that will be receiving the administration's much attention is agriculture. And of course, there are people in this country who are very, very crucial to that very movement, talking about women in agriculture. Today, we've invited to the studios two very gentle people to help us talk through agro safety procedures for women in agriculture. Of course, they say they have a program ongoing today, which has to do with training of some sort for women in agric. But I am not in the right position to do justice to that, and that's why we have them in the studio. We have with us Farmer Omolara Svensson.
Good morning.
She, of course, she is the national coordinator, right?
Yes.
National coordinator, Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progressive and Development Initiative.
Correct.
Thank you very much for honoring our invitation to be here today.
It's my pleasure.
And of course, sitting very calmly, gently, and elegantly, but I have to put, is Mr. Harrison Ehimokwai.
Yeah.
And he is the Chief of Staff to the Country Regional Administrator of OSHAssociation Nigeria Region.
Very correct.
Thank you very much for also making it to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, let's first of all have, what is this association all about? Because it's quite a mouthful, I must admit. OSHA, let's start with OSHAssociation.
Okay.
What do you do at OSHA?
The Occupational Safety and Health Association, OSHA, is a global professional body that is focused and specialized in occupational safety, health, security and environment. It goes a long way to promote safety and saving of lives, because your day-to-day activities in your workplace, in the environment, even in your homes, boils around safety. And once any safety of element is missing in any of this procedure, the next thing that will happen is either incidents or fatalities, which may likely lead to death or even injury or loss of body parts. So that is why our association advocates for safety to be #1 priority, and that is why our motto is promoting safety and saving life, just to ensure that whatever you are doing, you have it in mind that safety should be #1. Your safety first, my safety, everybody's safety, and that is what will make the environment to be safe. And when the environment is safe, productivity will increase. Thank you.
Now I see the relationship between your association with OSHA. So kindly talk to us. What do you do in your own space towards promoting participation of women, especially in agriculture?
Well, just as the name rightfully said, we are all about the progressive and development of women, Nigerian women in the agricultural sector, not just those that farms, in the farm, processors, post-harvest, traders. So if you are trading any food commodity in the market, you're part of us. If you're packaging the commodities, or you're even exporting, you know, or you work in the factory, or you fabricate equipment, the entire value chain. And we're doing quite a lot. One of it is what is the training that is going on today, and the partnership that we have with OSHA, like it has already told us, is a worldwide international association that they understand what it takes to have our women practice safety in the process of their farming, of their processing, of their packaging of their commodities. Because I know firsthand that a lot of accidents and illness and sickness, and in most cases death, that occurs in the process, that occupational hazard, like the professionals will call it, happen because our women, our processors, our farmers, did not have the right orientation in how to put in place security and safety
measures
in their place of work or on their farm or in their processing plant, you know, even in their life. You know, we had an incident of a man who was on the farm with the wrong kind of shoes. You know, he stepped on something, before you know what was happening, he took it lightly, and after about 3 to 4 months that leg had to be amputated. You know, so we see all these sort of incidents that could have been prevented, should it be that our farmers or our women have been trained on safety and occupational hazards.
Now I'll come back to you, Mr. Harrison. What are some of the most prominent hazards that women can be exposed to, women farmers can be exposed to within the agricultural value chain?
You see, when it comes to safety, I always describe it as a knowledge that will give you an edge. When we talk about hazards, there are things that are likely to cause accident. That's the simplest definition you can give to hazard. And then there are different types of hazard and different controls to hazard. I'll start with types of hazard. So many types of hazard, ranging from biological hazard, physical hazard, ergonomic hazard. Depending on your field, your scope, and your environment, hazards are available. Even in your homes, there are hazards. Now let's take it down to the farm. The first type of hazard I always look out for is the chemical hazard, physical hazards, biological hazards, and even the psychological hazards. Oftentimes we hear about harassment, people coming to steal farm product because of security that are not in place, or conflicts between two different set of persons, and then it causes even argument leading to harassment, and even arguments leads to fights and even death. That's a hazard that has its own control. Now, biological hazards are from insects, pests, birds that will come and disturb your plants and your process of agriculture. The hazard also. Now, chemical hazard. Government will try, give fertilizers, give organic or inorganic form of fertilizers that will help boost your produce. And then, if not properly handled, can also be poisonous to humans. That's a hazard. The main essence of that assistance was not actually to kill. It was supposed to be to improve productivity. But if safety is missing in the process of application, can lead to death. Now, physical hazard also. Oftentimes in Africa, we tend to cut corners. Normally, there are different stages in agriculture, from tilling the soil to planting, to weeding, harvesting, processing, storing. In all of this process, mechanization can take place, but because of funds and availability of finance, we can actually allow some making manual process or a cake process to exactly. And now you get where you're supposed to maybe use a little knife to pierce the ground, you decide to use your finger, making it out something has injured your hand, blood gush out. It's a small injury, you just wrap. You are forgetting that there are microbes in the soil. If tetanus is not given, it becomes a bigger problem. Like she said earlier, amputation is the worst that can happen if it doesn't lead to death. So identification of this hazard is very important. Now, controlling of this hazard. In safety, there's a hierarchy of control. Different measures you can use before we go back to PPA, which is the last resort. It is when these hierarchies are failed that we now say, okay, let us resort to PPA. PPA and safety means personal protective equipment. Now, we have administrative control, engineering control, different other controls leading to the PPAs. Take for example also, when we talk about safety, we don't talk of safety from grassroots to top, or from like our former president would say, just prepare from top to bottom. Safety is top to bottom, and it was correct. Now, if I talk to you about safety, you are dressed well as a plumber. You're supposed to have a hand glove. Don't use knife. This is the right sort to use. And you say, okay, thank you, sir. If that plumber doesn't have the facility to purchase the right equipment, well, what you have said is just story. So it is those are the decision-making cadre, level environment that you have the right mindset, change their thinking, and care for the particular set of persons that are in the field, artisans, workers, employees, and every other sector of the economy. So that's why we also operate in that manner. Get them from the top, reorient their mindset, change and get them directed at safety procedures that are globally accepted.
Okay. Farmer Omolara,
Yes,
you are the one in the field.
Yes.
And some of these things that you have talked about, can you elaborate more? What are some of these risks that farmers face on daily basis? And what's the level of applicability of some of this information that you get from associations like his own? And how can you rate, especially like you have said, even if you have all the information, and let's say the farm owner does not have the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal to make available some of these things. So just talk to us generally, what's the situation of things on our farms, especially as it relates to women?
Okay, so I want to use this medium to appeal to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the federal government and all agencies that is connected, interwoven into the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, to please take the topic of safety and security more seriously in the agricultural sector. We do a lot of trainings. We do a lot of trainings on modified or hybrid seedlings, how to cultivate, how to get good yield. We give out a lot of inputs. We're doing quite a lot, you know, especially under this administration, to ensure that the lost glory of Nigeria in agriculture and as a nation is brought back, because it's quite a shame that a country like Nigeria would be in a situation like this where we do not have enough food to feed ourselves. So while we are doing all of this, this is one very important. My office had worked tirelessly to make sure that we come into partnership with OSHA, because I'll bring it back home a little bit. As the national coordinator, I sit down and I look at it personally from my pocket monthly. Sometimes I spent hundreds of thousands of naira supporting women because they cut their hands on the field where they were sealing their gari pack. They mistakenly put their finger in the sealer, or they have colds and they didn't take care of it well. They still went to the farm to harvest while they had cold, and then cold, as you know, literally two things that all they needed was to have the orientation and the right approach to safety and security. But because the orientation, the knowledge is lacking, so it brings it becomes much more problem. You know, it's just like if you drink good water, you don't get cholera or typhoid. And then we all save ourselves the stress, we save ourselves the money as a people, as a nation. But when you expose yourself to water that is not clean, not only do we spend more money treating you as a nation, but the risk of you spreading it is there. It is the same thing that applies to our women on the farm, in the processing plant, even those that are selling in the market, you know. So I want to appeal to the rights authority to invest more in training our women, because if I sit here and I tell you that yes, we are doing the right thing, we know the right thing, no, we have a lot of work to do in training our women, so their orientation, so you know, knowledge is power, really. You have the right kind of understanding, and then we would be able, and this plays a huge role in our production, in the productivity, you know. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, like he rightfully said, there is a large large part of us, you know, I call us the elite farmers, that understands these things. You know, we have a basic understanding of why I should have a first aid kit, why on my farm I should have the reptile injections, the one for anti-snake and all of that. We understand it, but then we look at the money that is available to us, then we become handicapped, and that way we have to cut corners, or we have to look for an alternative. And when this thing, I mean, so many years ago we had on my, this is actually was in a processing plant now, not at the farm. So products came, it was during rainy season, there were baby scorpions in the products, and like 2 of my staff got bitten in one day. The saving grace we had was because we had these shots, you know, at the processing plant. But ask today, how many people in the industry can afford this. These are things that should be made available by the government, by agencies that are working with the agricultural sector. You know, so yes, a lot of work has to be done, and to associations and agencies like ours, I also want to would like to appeal to us to take the issue of safety and security training very, very seriously, because we are really lacking behind as a nation in this aspect.
Well, you've just touched on my next question to Mr. Harrison, because we are now at a stage where the most important thing business owners can do is to collaborate. And that's what I see happening here. Because one could have ordinarily asked, what's the relationship between Women in Farmers Association and OSHA? So talk to us about the need for organizations, associations, and even government agencies to realize the importance of collaborating with organizations that have the technical knowledge that they can be able to share with this organization to enhance their productivity.
Thank you very much.
While I will ask you about the training that you say is happening in Abuja. Is it only in Abuja or elsewhere? So,
okay, we don't just tag safety to one particular sector. You see, the best way to explain collaboration is where you see an individual, a human being, somebody that is breathing, and there is hazard there, safety is needed. We have different sectors of the economy, which we have partners, corporate members, and even collaborators with the association. The agricultural sector are doing well. We have maritime, we have in the aviation sector, we have in the construction also, and so many other sectors, to mention but a few. Now, collaboration with our association is very simple. The federal government, through the office of the head of the civil service of the federation, has even made it much easier, giving a mandate that every ministry, department, and agency must establish a OSH office and OSH officer. This is to ensure that you don't need to run down to another department when incidents happen. Okay. There should be accident investigation and a report sheet. So on a day-to-day, days to week, weeks to months, and even all around year, there should be a report. What happened? What did not happen? Okay, what are the near misses and eventualities? And then this will help the OSH officer plan ahead and also mitigate against such occurrences. Now, when it comes to collaboration, it's very simple. Membership of the association is open to everybody. Whether you are a shoe shiner, you are in the office, at home, in housewife, safety knowledge that you have may not save you that particular day you gain that knowledge. It will save you in another day. Take for example, just from water, somebody can get drowned, and then the last thing that can save you is just first aid and CPR. If that is properly done, you wake up and go to church and give thanksgiving. But every time in Nigeria, what you do is thank God, God has saved me, God has saved me. Safety didn't just start now. It started from time of creation. I'll give you a short story. When God created the world, He told Adam, these are all that you have to your disposal, but you see that in the middle, don't touch it. That was the hazard. That was the hazard. That was the risk. Satan, who wants the risk and wants the hazard, okay, come and
encourage them to take it.
And when the eventuality happens, the result. So that is it. The story you can relate to. So we have the safety awareness, we have advocacy. Don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, this is what will happen. And if you go ahead to cut corners, you are lucky, glory be to God. If they use you as an example, you will just die like a fowl and the Lord will move on. So put yourself on the red list. So it's better when you are alive, get the little knowledge that you have, become a member, go for training. Safety trainings are not just one time off trainings. It is open for training and retraining, because the world is evolving. That is how technology is improving. Infrastructures are coming. The set of computers are used in my school days. It's not what I'm using now, and it is not what will be in circulation in the next 30 years. Same thing with safety equipment. So you can see, oftentimes, okay, when the world was struck with COVID in 2019, 2020, at first you had to go for tests, take blood sugar, and then to go for body temperature, and later on it was like a gun machine. So these are PPEs, safety gadgets that can help within a space of short time to achieve results that the local method would have used for like 2, 3, 4 days. So it is good we get into more collaborations with my association, which is into occupational safety and health. The security aspect is fine. We also have good number of our security personnel on ground that can help in training and retraining of your workforce to ensure that your environment is secured, and then your employers, your employees, artisans are safe and healthy to operate in a more productive environment.
I completely agree with you. We can't rule out the need for safety in all spaces that we occupy at all times. And I think this is why your collaboration with OSHA is very, very commendable, because who could have even thought that an association such as yours can think about safety to the point where they say, let us involve a professional body. Now you say you have a training ongoing. Talk to us more about this training. Is it only happening in Abuja? Is it happening in other places? And what's the content of the program, the training packages, and what do the attendees, the participants rather, stand to benefit from these trainings?
Thank you very much. As the National Association for Women in Agriculture, it is our work to keep doing the thinking. We have a team of people who are the thinkers that are not even in the agricultural sector, that are consultants to us, and we have a blueprint, we have a roadmap, and I'll tell you, in this roadmap, safety and security takes about 42% of the work we need to do, because this would play a major role in our output. For us, at the end of the day, it's always about what is your output. Whatever English you speak, what we want to know is what is the output, how many metric tons am I getting at the end of the day. So we looked at all the factors that plays a role in our output, and we see that safety and security comes 42%. So then what do we do? I'm not a trained safety person. Of course, we all have the common sense knowledge of what safety and security is, and that's why we are where we are. And we are glad that OSHA as well, they have professionals, they understand it. So coming together to form a partnership was really, we were both on the same page from the onset. So which is what has given birth to this. Is just the first of its kind, and like I said, there is a whole lot to come. It's like when you start primary 1 now, primary 2, like that, until you get to PhD, and if you like, you do 2, 3 PhDs, like some of my
it never stops.
It never stops. So this is the first stage, and because it's the first stage, OSHA has been patriotic enough to make this training free for 200 participants in 2 geopolitical zones. So as the National Association, we work with zones. We just don't say states, So we are starting with the Southwest zone and the North Central zone. So today we have 100 participants. So we call it training the trainer, because these people are to go back to their local government and their ward coordinators to train them so that they can pass the knowledge down. We operate on top to bottom and bottom to top approach, meaning we have the zonal coordinators, state coordinators, local government coordinators, and ward coordinators. So we are sure that every knowledge, every input, every support we're passing to the zonal and state coordinators is getting to that woman that is in a remote village. So in Abuja today, the North Central participants will be trained at the Orphan Suite, which starts at 10 a.m. this morning. So all the North Central states will be trained today to go back home to train their coordinators. And in the Southwest, it will be in Lagos at the Agricultural Development Hall by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in Okoba, Agege, where we have all the states in the Southwest also represented. So there is about 17 participants from each state
Okay.
representing Southwest, and same applies to North Central. And hopefully, before the end of July, August, we are going to be taking the South, South, Southeast, and Northeast, Northwest as well.
Okay.
God willing.
Impressive.
That's quite an elaborate plan. But before we round up, because a lot of people watching now may like to get in touch, particularly through social media. People who are very fast like that, as we're talking, they're making searches. So let's start with you, in case someone wants to get in touch with OSHA.
Okay, yeah, our website is nigeria.oshassociation, OSHA Association, OSHAssociation.org. We are also on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and also on X. That's our former Twitter. So once you search on OSH Association, OSH Association, you get to see all of our social media handles.
All right. And then you?
Oh, well, thank you. We have our website, www.nwap.com.ng,
Okay.
and we are also on all the social media handles as NWAPDI on Instagram, the same as Twitter. We're even on the one where they sing. Sorry, TikTok. You know, TikTok. We're on Facebook. So yes, you can reach us, and our email as well is info@nwap.com.ng.
All right.
Yeah.
A sincere thank you to both of you for
Thank
what
you.
you're doing,
Thank you.
contributing your own quota towards the development of agriculture, not just in Nigeria, but Africa, because we know whatever happens in Nigeria, you know, has a way of affecting other countries within the region. So thank you very much for coming on the program today. I wish you all the best. So we've been talking with Farmer Omolara Svensson. She is the National Coordinator, Nigerian Women for Agricultural Progressive and Development Initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course, the gentleman with the hat that I love is Mr. Harrison Ehimukhai.
Very correct.
He is the Chief of Staff to the Country Regional Administrator of OSHAssociation Nigeria Region. Thank you very much for all the insights that you provided this morning.
My pleasure. Thank
And
you.
it's on this note that we go to join the Investment Plus team for those very important financial tips. By the time we come back, we have another set of guests in the studio.